Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Atlanta Journal-Constitution Decatur Book Festival, presented by Emory University. I'm Toni Tipton-Martin, author of Jubilee and the Jemima Code. I'm also the new editor-in-chief at America's Test Kitchen's Cook's Country. It is my pleasure to introduce tonight's special guests, two people who have made enormous contributions to the food world and to its world of beverage. But first, let me say a word or two about our sponsors. This year's culinary conversations are presented by Whole Foods Market, and we thank them for their support of our industry and our community. Our session sponsor this evening is Taste of Atlanta, the city's largest celebration of our diverse culinary scene. This year's Taste of Atlanta will transform into Taste Around Town and encourage Atlanta diners to try must-eat menu items, take virtual cooking classes, play Atlanta restaurant bingo, and support local nonprofits. And now to our guests. Tiffany Berrier, also known as the Drinking Coach, is one of the South's most celebrated mixologists and one of the most popular celebrities at the Taste of Atlanta Festival each year. Her Planter's Punch recipe is featured in my award-winning cookbook, Jubilee. Mike Jordan is an Atlanta-based journalist and editor, with work in publications such as the Wall Street Journal, Rolling Stone, Eater, Thrillist, and more. And now, it is my pleasure to welcome Tiffany and Mike.
Welcome to Culinary Conversations presented by Whole Foods. Tonight's session is sponsored by Taste of Atlanta, and you are here at the Decatur Book Festival, the virtual Decatur Book Festival. You may have noticed, like we did, that you are not in Decatur Square right now. No need to panic. We're supposed to be where we are, and you're in the right place. And thank you for joining us this wonderful Monday evening, September the 21st, 6:30 Eastern Time in Atlanta, Georgia. While we are getting prepared for tonight's chat, I wanted to quickly invite everyone to consider donating to the relevant programming that we're doing here, such as this conversation. And if you see a green button underneath me, that's the button to click. So if you have the means and the interest and you don't mind it, like we don't mind accepting it. And when I say we, it's not going in my pocket. It's not my PayPal attached. There's no Venmo direct to me going on here. This is to the Decatur Book Festival, and to make sure conversations like this can continue, please hit that green button. Should be underneath me. If not, I'm just pointing down, but I know that my folks here have got us set up to make sure that you can donate if you will. So thank you for that. Also, as you're going to find out as we are interviewing and speaking with an amazing mixologist and one of truly my favorite people in this city, and maybe just in life, I wanted to make sure that if you have a question, you know what to do with that question, because we are going to take those questions, provided that we make it through time, but we are going to make sure we push to get some of those out. If you have a question, there's an Ask a Question feature that you will also see underneath me. So I've got all kind of stuff going on low, but you can get low and you can ask a question, hit that feature, donate if you wish, and we will get the conversation started. Now, I'm going to take some liberty here because I happen to be, I guess, a friend. So we're already seeing the bias in journalism. But before I go into all of that, I want to say welcome to my great friend, Tiffany Barriere. Please give a round of applause where you're sitting, ladies and gentlemen. It's all good. Go ahead.
Jazz hands, jazz hands.
How are you, Tiffany? We were already, of course, chatting to just say hi before this, but I feel like this is the real introduction. And I didn't want anybody to miss like the real moment, because I am very excited to see you. We hang out, we are friends, but how are you doing? How are you doing?
Whew, I'm okay. This has been a lot of a year, but I'm okay. I took some rides just like everyone else did. Those that know and have followed me, unfortunately, I was in a car accident like 2 months ago. I was down for the count, but I'm back. The village has been amazing. The energy, therapy, I'm good. I feel really good. I feel really blessed. and honored. I really do.
I feel really angry at Mark Zuckerberg, or as Lil Boosie would say, Mark Zuckerberger. But I feel really angry because I didn't see that on Facebook. But you know what? I haven't been spending as much time on social media, and I don't expect you to put that anything like that is going on social media because I know you. And but yeah, I'm didn't. That's my first time hearing that, so I'm glad to hear you're great. Not just because you make my favorite drinks like in the world. I always say you would never think you can mix carrot juice and gin until you meet Tiffany. And just all of these things that you do with things that, not that it shouldn't work, but it's just like, who thought of doing that your way too? So I wanted to just get everybody a good primer on who you are. So first of all, I did want to tell everybody, as you'll say, it's Barriere like Perrier.
Yeah.
So please make sure that you have that correct. Tiffany Berrier, tell us who you are.
Oh, I am a highly spiritual drinker.
Yeah.
Not sure where that came from, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
I am all the feels. I love people. A lot of people can't say that and be honest about it, but I really dig people. I found myself in hospitality naturally, played restaurant as a kid. My mother is just here this weekend and still tells the jokes and the stories of me playing picnic outside in the backyard, putting out my cabbage patches, and not a tea party, but like serving them on little plates and cutting up sandwiches and making Kool-Aid and using my easy bake oven. So I love people. I found out pretty quickly that I love to drink as well, as we usually do in our 20s. I was a little younger than my 20s, but I really got curious to know, like, why do I, besides the feeling, why do I like what I like? I come from a small town outside of Lafayette, Louisiana. It's about 150 miles from Houston, Texas. So people read and they go, "Where are you from, Texas or Louisiana?" I'm like, it's kind of it's the bayou right in there. So a drinking family, always sipping and being nosy, being hospitable and respectful. And I just jumped into this thing real hard, wondering, why do I like what I like? Not because of the filling, but where did it come from? Who made it? What's the ingredients? What's the science? I had to know. And once I met Chef Dwayne Nutter at One Flew South in '08, it was like pancakes and sausage. We just, I figured out that I wasn't a weirdo, because I always felt so weird for loving alcohol and loving food and people, because I was told, get a real job. So I met Dwayne, and Dwayne was like, and I figured out I have a real job because I'm doing exactly what I love. I love the impact. I love to see people smile because I put something in their hand and they had something in their stomach. And 6 months into working at One Flew South and knowing that I had a real job, I cut all my hair off. And I was like, I'm owning it. I'm finally in a safe space where I can be who I want to be, how I want to be. And I learned that there were levels to it. And here we are 15, 14 years later as the drinking coach.
The drinking coach, that is correct. First of all, I wanted to say that you're always, like, again, there's a cosmic, relationship that you and I have, because I'm drinking out of a One Flew South cup. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, again, so I got my little, what I'm saying, kit over here. I'm talking to the drinking coach. So I have my cube of ice. I got a little cooler down here. So that's really what's going on. And I have a Negroni that I pre-made. And so I wanted to make sure that it was fresh in time for this conversation. Otherwise, I would probably not be respecting the drinking coach. And I want to make sure that I say something else. So shout out to Dwayne Nutter and Reggie Washington, Southern National. If you're in the city of Mobile or you're ever going to go there, you absolutely have to go to these gentlemen's fine establishment. But I also want to say something. If you heard everything that Tiffany said, ladies and gentlemen, all of those things she said, what she did not say is that she's Dame of the Year. And, like, that's one thing that Tiffany and I, as the homie, as she's the homie to me, we're talking about, like, girl, all this humility. Like, no. This is the dame of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Don't look at me. Stop looking at me. Look at the lady in yellow with the hair that got cut off 15 years ago. No. Dame of the year. And who made her dame of the year? You've heard of Tales of the Cocktail. It's a little thing that happens every year where there's tales and there's cocktails. You know it. This is the dame of the year. She could have been anywhere in the world tonight, but she's here with us.
Yeah. Thank you. I actually could have been anywhere in the world tonight because our industry, our cocktail industry, is raising money for bars that are slightly surviving or just touching on the 60% of bars that may not open and need to put some money in the pockets. There is going to be a Masked Singer show where they were going to make costumes for bartenders. They were going to go live and you were going to guess who this person was in costume. And they chose me.
You.
And I turned it down.
Oh my goodness.
For you. I was like,
for
as much as I want to be in costume, because that's like my life. I was like, costume, wait, I can be undercover and no one would know it's me. As long as I didn't talk, I think I could have done it. And I did not have to dress like a ladybug. So it's like, no, everyone will know that's me. I turned it down. I absolutely love Decatur Book Festival. It happens on a super amazing weekend in Atlanta where it's like Pride, Decatur Fest, House in the Park, Dragon Con, and the whole weekend is like New Year's Eve 4 days in a row.
You know, Luda Day weekend, like
Luda Day weekend. It's
too much.
I have like 20 outfits for the weekend, and I just said no. I'm gonna chat it up because I love the feeling of chatting about books for one. I'm a nerd. As silly as I am, I love to drink. I'm a nerd. And
I assume you still have a cocktail down there. I know we started with one. Okay. So let's toast to not only to you as Dame of the Year, and we'll get into your Food Network greatness as well, but to our wonderful host, Decatur Book Festival, and to Toni Tipton-Martin, 2 times James Beard Award winner. Shout out to her. Would you like to add to the toast? You're a toast person.
I definitely want to toast to one of my favorite people, Toni Tipton-Martin, and all that's involved in Decatur Book Fest, down to Whole Foods, and all of our good friends that I've worked really close to and made a toast to in the beginning. Mike, I want to toast you to friendship, hands down. I've been a fan of yours since day one, and it's always good to connect. So,
cheers.
Salud.
Salud. So now that we have gotten the good vibes going, let's talk about just the state of what it is you do. And I wanted to first kind of go into that because obviously there's always been the bartender, mixologist, and the definitions and associations that go with those words. But before we get into all of the state of what's going on, I wanted to ask you, what is it that people don't know about what you do? Like, what goes into what you do? What is it something that people wouldn't really assume that goes into, you know, being the drinking coach?
Fantastic question. I don't think people really understand how much a bartender, Tiffany, the drinking coach, has to connect with you. The guest, the listener, the student, the organization or whomever I'm speaking with is a lot of things. We have a lot of personalities. Some of us are awkward. Some of us are tired. Some of us are overworked. Some of us are a lot of who we are. And the bartender, the server, the teacher has so much to dissect in you instantly. We're cosmic. We have to connect. We've chosen this profession. I've chosen this profession because I love the joy. I love catching you at that point, wherever you are, and you owning it, and then me just adding to it. So I come to the pity party. I go to the celebration. I'm here at work with you. I'm there, and I don't think people really know how much I focus on connecting with whoever I'm talking to. I connect with myself. I clear myself out so I can receive. I'm lighting my other candle right now because I said that. I like to feel, and I don't think people understand, as polite and as approachable as I am, how much I'm trying to connect with you. I'm really just trying to grab something, more so I can make your drink. But whatever I give you is supposed to make you feel good. So I got to catch you. It could be the shirt you're wearing, and I'm like, okay, we're going with that. Okay, this is the outfit they chose to wear, or the person that they're with, or I'm reading you up and down in 2 minutes.
See, that's so interesting because that to me ties all of these arts together. You know, when you're thinking about in the moment, and obviously there's study that has to go on. There's a preparation, meets opportunity thing that happens in the lucky moment when you make the right drink for the right person, I assume. But it is something that I think you have. If it's not something that you always had, which I don't know if it is or not, it seems to me like just inherent to who you are. But if you had to work on it, or if you decided to work on it, it's something that I really do believe you've mastered. And I think anyone who knows you would say that you give off this very welcoming kind of spirit about what it means that you're coming to get a drink. And it almost adds to me personally, when I've ever been somewhere where you were pouring a drink, it adds not just a level of class, but of responsibility almost. It's almost like we're not just drinking to be drinking, to be drinking, to be drinking, to be drinking. We're drinking for a reason of like, why am I drinking? And it almost turns the question back on you. But I always have felt like your name, the drinking coach, has been really perfect for kind of what you do, because people can have some weird vibes about, I'm here to drink because I had a rough day, or I'm here to drink because I had a great day. But how do you feel about that? And what if I want a Jack and Coke? Is that wrong, drinking coach? Because maybe I'm supposed to have something fancier than that,
Right.
and I'm not meeting the standard. So let's talk about just the psychology of all of that. You were just saying, you might get something off of someone's article of clothing. But when you're making that connection, how exactly, do you make the assumptions or the expectation that they have meet your ability to know exactly what goes into that? What do you think of
That is a fantastic question. Before I answer that, I'm going to say, pardon, there is a lot that goes into catching on, and I love people just to be themselves. So if I can be myself, you can be yourself. And thank you for saying I've mastered approachability and comfort, but it took me a really long time. Like, I'm not kidding. It took me a long time to realize I could just be myself. Like, just do you. People say that in cliche all the time. Just be yourself. And you're like, but I am. And it took me some time. I mean, sure, I cut my hair because I thought, well, for one, I was just tired of doing it. Black women in hair. And I was like, I'm done. Let's just take it off. Let's just have face. Let's just be this person. But I always wanted to do it since I was in like high school. But it took me a while to own that. Once I figured out who I was, at least at work, my personal life, whole nother story. That's a good one. It's a good story, but it's a whole nother story. Once I knew my career, I was like, okay, I want to make people feel the same way, because you don't get that feeling often. You're always judging yourself, i.e. the Jack and Coke. Why is that a wrong thing to drink? Why do you feel like, eek, I'm having a Jack and Coke, versus like, yes, Jack and Coke, make it a double, owning it. So when I do get a chance to connect with a stranger or even a friend, and they tell me how they're feeling, when I say, how are you? Or what are we thinking? What's on your mind? I may ask a random question like, what'd you have for lunch last Tuesday? And then when they start to describe it, I literally, this is a science. Everyone listening needs to know, I literally put an ingredient to everything you described. Oh, it was cool. It was chill, super easy. And I'm like, okay, we're talking about a cocktail. Okay. So, and I just kind of dissect the words into the drink. I know if I'm going to use regular simple syrup or agave. I know if I'm going to go get my bourbon or if I'm going to go vodka. I know if I'm going to pour you a glass of wine. I know where I'm going to go by what you just told me. And I'm like, okay, because I want you to keep that going, that momentum. I want you to keep it going, and you can do that while doing this. And then you start to just, I don't know, it makes me feel so good when that happens because they sip it and they're like, that's how I feel. And I'm like, don't you want to feel? And it works. It has worked. I thought I was a witch one time. I'm like, how am I doing this? But it was just being a human. And some of us don't have the time to just flatline. And
So I feel it's very interesting from what I understand about those kinds of connections. It's almost like the psychology of people don't realize that they're telling you what they want. Sometimes they are. And, you know, and they're amazed that you're getting it right, but it goes to just the very simple human element of listening. And, you know, a conversation should be mostly listening. If you're doing more talking than you're doing listening, you're not having a really good conversation.
Yeah.
So it's
And
just
at One Flew South, I had to do that. We were in the airport. I had no control over the time. The airline did, the plane train did, the luggage, your charger. All I had to do was listen. I just need to hear you. And you really described what you want. And that's a part of what we do. I think that's a part of what we have to really get back to is, what do you have? Then you tell me, then I make it, and then we're done. And then we can just, kiki after that for a while.
Yeah. So let's talk about just we're talking about now making these connections, but in the sense of, in order to make a connection, in order for that to roll immediately into your brain, you have to have developed, some skill and some of a Rolodex and I'm aging myself for sure if I'm using a word like Rolodex, but there's an idea that you need a library. Yeah, we won't say Rolodex, we'll say library because that makes me younger, huh?
Card catalog, just stick with it, go with it, say your age. In the card catalog.
Yeah, as I rode my horse and buggy to the place where the books are stored in the old
Them at the saloon.
Next to the saloon. Yeah. I think though that's something that people really respect, is when someone, again, you can always say, and there's always the intention, but there is, this idea of you have done the homework. And I want to take that opportunity to segue into what I have in front of me, which is Jubilee, everybody, Toni Tipton-Martin's awesome award-winning book, which features our great friend, Dame of the Year, Tiffany Berrier, Atlanta mixologist extraordinary. And you recreated Jasper Crouch's, I'm going to let you say the word, Quaint Club Punch, or am I saying that?
Quaint Club Punch.
See, I was smart for letting you say it because I didn't have to go through any of that.
And I'm cocktail and a half in, so thank you.
Yeah. We're friends here. But this is a punch. And what was it that when you decided to add something here, how did that conversation go with Toni? How did this come to you? Or what was it that made this beverage get into Jubilee?
Toni and I met at Southern Foodway Alliance 2000, and I don't know what, because when you go to a Southern Foodway Alliance shindig, you remember, but you don't really remember. Anyhow, we connected. It's the first time that I had really found out that I had a family. I knew that some people had the same interest as me, but they were Southerners. I admired watching her. She was one of the only few women of color. And I just kept watching and watching and watching, not knowing that she was watching me and what I was doing. And of course, she traveled to the restaurant and knew about, Dwayne and I's work over at One Flew South. So she created the Soul Summit, the very first Soul Summit, which was a collaboration and a conference on Southern history through food and beverage, African American, Black. And I was the only mixologist on deck because there's not many Black mixologist doing what I'm doing right now. Saying that out loud is getting to me, but we're on our way. And I found out at that point that I was starting to make the cocktails that I love, that I'd been admiring from mentors and all these fancy, amazing bars across the world, but I wasn't connecting to my culture. I just couldn't get away from some of the cookbooks and the slave cookbooks that in the back of them had cocktails and punch. And I just started digging and getting more research. I'm like, these drinks were legit. These are the drinks that they were serving. So we connected pretty close on history and cocktails and simple ingredients, volume, and black hands. And that was one of the cocktails that really stuck, because a punch was, obviously we served a big punch when you had to serve who your owner was serving and hosting. So the punch was really, really important to me to share.
And when you drink it, what does that do in the sense of connecting back? And when you're explaining that, how does it connect to those times when this kind of was around, and the idea of a punch and the communal kind of vibe of all of that? Like, what does that do for you when the history hits the taste buds?
You asking that question and me answering it still gives me chills. I still sip that drink. I still make that drink. I try to channel what they were doing, the time frame, the crap, the horrible ice, the place they lived, the work that had to be done. And when I taste it, when you know better, it tastes better. I feel it. I feel that this is not just a cocktail. This is work. This was a job. This was, if you don't do it right, you're in trouble. You could possibly be killed. But then there's a flip of that brings some brightness, because if you were serving your owner's if you were serving the owner's guest, you were the good one, the well-spoken one, the well-dressed one. You may have spoke German and French and Haitian and English, and so you were the chosen one, and you looked the best. They chose the best, and they trusted you. We were not killing them the way they were killing us. We weren't poisoning them. We were making a proper drink. And so I feel all of that with every cocktail that I make from the ancestor. I'm just like, wow. And they didn't have a book to refer to like I do. They were just like, okay, sugar, acid, booze, ice, let's go, and let's go now. So I feel it. I feel it every time. I can't deny, I feel it every single time. And I feel it when it's my own cocktail.
Yeah, just chemistry and botany and legacy and all stuff is mixing all in.
They had it. They had it. No one trained our ancestors. They weren't trained. They were told, and they weren't told what to do. They weren't told how to do it.
What to do.
They were told what to do. They weren't told how to do it. Just do it now. And I'm just amazed at the I'm just amazed at, this is sacrifice of keeping your life and your children, but they were incredible.
Do you have a sip left, and we can toast to the ancestors? If that, I know, is that what I think that is that you use? Is that off the arm?
Do you know what this is?
No, okay, that means something new. Tiffany, by the way, ask her about her bracelets when you run into her.
No!
Yeah, I'll leave that. No, we're not gonna go into that. That is an Easter egg for everyone watching. Ask her about her bracelets. Now, what was that we just saw? Is that something?
So I'm giving some, always a circle, Florida tequila. Name Spirit of the Year with Tales of the Cocktail, along with my award for Dame of the Year. So I thought it'd be proper to drink Fortaleza, an award-winning tequila, with my day and you. So this is for us. And I'm having a tequila old fashioned, an añejo tequila old fashioned.
Okay, well, let's do that real quick then. In a tequila old fashioned, is there anything that we should lean into more? Because again, there's the bitters, the sugar, anything else. How would you propose that a tequila old fashioned be made if someone is sitting at home and says, you know what, I have tequila and I have all the other ingredients. What could we kind of, what would you say? How do we do that?
Just a small, quick shift. Don't use Blanco, that's the white one. Reposado and Añejo are aged, so you want to use aged. And instead of using sugar like we do in an old fashioned, you want to use agave. So just a quarter size of agave. Still want to use those pretty Angostura bitters and your favorite Reposado or Añejo and a big rock. And
Do you
enjoy
go
it.
strong on bitters? Are you strong on bitters or what?
I'm strong on bitters. I feel like if I want bitters, in an old fashioned, I'm strong on bitters because that makes, you get that age from the Angostura on whatever spirit you're drinking, a rum old fashioned, tequila old fashioned, bourbon, rye, scotch, whatever. I'm 5 to 6 dashes. I want that color. I want a color to come through. 2 or 3. It's like when the chef says a pinch of salt, and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Salt to taste.
Not knowing.
We're not listening.
I know that I have big pinch. Yeah, I can pinch. Yeah.
What's a pinch? So like they say, like sweeten to taste or salt to taste. I say bitters to taste. I even say sweet to taste. Like people say a quarter ounce of simple or a quarter of agave, sweeten to taste. The right drink is your drink. So just know that.
Somebody is feeling freed up from whatever it was that was like holding them back. Just as we spoke, we just saved somebody's life. I don't know, like we just saved somebody's life. Somebody felt a new them just watching us right now. I felt it. I want to ask you now about just how what we were talking about previously with the fact that these beverages, these cocktails, they bring you back to a time. It's like almost having a conversation with ancestors in a way when you know kind of a little bit of the context of what's going on. Well, let's talk about the days and times we're living in today. And there are many people, myself included, that think that more conversation is going to be helpful. And a conversation that is, lubricated might be even more helpful if we know how to approach that and do that correctly, which I know you do. Are there situations in which you and your understanding of beverage helps you to make cultural connections that you might not have easily assumed that would easily occur?
There's always another side of the story. Some would say 2 sides, some would say 3 sides. On the right side, there's always the other side of the story. And there's been a lot of stories that we've all grown up. I'm sorry, not all of us grew up. But there's only one side of the story. And I flipped that to there's gotta be the other side. You're only telling me this side of the story. Who did it? So I do tie in a lot of culture on both sides. And because I am a Black woman, yes, I give all homage to my Black culture and my Southern roots and all that needs to be said and showed for. But not all Blacks were a certain way and not all whites were a certain way. So I really try to tap in to what could possibly be the real story. And at this certain time frame, we know what's going on because that's what the timeline said, but was every house that way? Was every owner that way? Was every enslaved man or woman this way? And so I tap in. I'm not soft on the issue. I just really try to think about, both of my grandmothers were maids. They seemed okay. This is the 50s and the 60s. Was it that bad back then? Were there any kind of, was there any hope for our people? So I touch that in every drink. I touch that in every lesson just because I don't want to I feel like when we're learning now, and especially our current climate, because this is what we're going through right now isn't new. But our current climate, we have the chance to express stories, share them, document them. A lot of these stories were not documented. That's why I like to document stories and share them. But there's a time that you go, you know what? I didn't think about that, you know? Okay, George Washington, awesome. He loved whiskey. He loved cider. Cool. That's so neat. George. Who served George? Who is that? And Southern Foodway Alliance actually helped me really dissect the way I wanted to go by wanting to open up the hard conversations with white people in the South, white people in general, even Asians, any people of color, and ask the privileged, do you know who like your help was? Like, did your great grandfather have a maid? Yeah, I heard that they took care of so and so. I'm like, what was her name? What their last name? Where they live? And then you get their story because their story isn't documented. So I get to digging.
So, getting digging and documenting things, when can we expect the cookbook from the drinking coach? I think is a fair question to ask. I mean, like, I don't want to get into your business, but can I get into your business real quick? I mean,
you're in my business, Mike. You're in my business.
Good.
Everybody is in my business about this book.
Cheers to this.
Cheers to all of you asking about this book. I want to make it very clear that I'm a bartender. I'm not a journalist or a publisher. It's been difficult. I have it here. It's just putting it on the paper. And so there's definitely connections. There's branches coming off this tree. I'm asking for a lot of help, and the help is coming to me on how to put out all of this knowledge, but it's got to be structured. I mean, you think about Toni, and she's got a lot coming from here and here, but it's got to make sense, and it just can't be one thick, peace and war book. We've got to break this thing down, and I am finding out now that I am the one that is taking this journey to Southern history. Inventors, culinarians on the liquid side, I'm the only one. So this is a lot of work that I am still digging into and getting it worked on. But trust me, it's in the works.
When we
in the works.
We'll all win. We will all win when we get a drinking coach cocktail. Really, it is.
Yes, it's in the works. I promise you. The foot is on my neck. It's the pressure is on. I know that I want it to make sense. And as we started this conversation, I like to get your attention. And I need it to make sense. This is going to be the first book, the first of a few, but this might be a series. Who knows?
It should be something that is on.
There's a lot of stories, Mike, about our people that have to be shared. There's a lot of cocktails also.
Yeah. And again, you're only going to get to be, doing more and more things the way I see it. I mean, you were just on Food Network. Tell them about that. Like, what's going on there.
Amazing. I can't say all the bad, good words that I want to say, but it was everything. It was all of the things, but more so, yes, national television, Alex, Sunny, Sandwich Guy. Yeah, that's cool. More so, my friends, homies. It was really, this is important to me because I am an independent bartender. I don't work for a chef. I don't work for a brand. I don't work for a bar. I'm not a part of just one organization. This is my gut, my work, my goals that has been recognized on a national level. So it's rewarding. And you already yelled at me for not, screaming on the mountaintops, but it's really rewarding to know that all the pacing I do in this house and all the drinks I make for myself, that all the flowers in my head have been watered. Just like, okay, it's working. Social media has helped me a lot. And coming out of my shell, just saying, instead of keeping up with these bartender styles and techniques and competitions and trying to be on this level, why don't I just be on my own level? And there's just not enough women, not enough Black women, not enough queer bartenders out here crushing it. Like,
like you. And what I want to say to that is you actually went into what my final question was, which is, if someone is out there and it's a woman and she is or is not queer, but they may be a young man or they may be anybody, and they just identify with you, like so many of us who know you and have met you and have had the privilege of having a beverage you've made for us, you know, what do you tell them? Because this is a new era right now. We don't know what's coming next for sure, but we have enough hope, and, you know, we want things to at least either get back to that quote unquote new normal, or we want to make sure that we are leaving room for artists and people who can make a good sustained living. So I want to ask you, what is your advice for people who are figuring out the model as it goes, as we all kind of are right now?
Yeah, don't reinvent the wheel. You can't. The drinks have been made, the ice is made, what's in the bottle has already been done. I can't say come out and I can't say be yourself, because we don't listen to that. We've been told that since we were kids. I can just say, don't try to reinvent the wheel. The wheel is rolling, just put your own rims on it. Polish it the way you want. And right now, I think is an amazing time to be yourself, because there's a lot of acceptance right now while the healing is going on, and I'm loving it. I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to know that this was not the game 10 years ago. This was not the game 15 years ago. And I've been on the battle for women's rights, Black rights, queer rights, my whole, since I was 17, since I came out when I was born, as far as being Black and a woman, but, queer when I was in high school. Don't try to reinvent it. What do I need to do? You just need to do what you're already doing and make some great cocktails and serve it through you. Don't serve it through, it's great to have a mentor, but a mentor is not who you are. A mentor that is there to teach you to be better than them. So I just say, like, zone in, tap into something. If it's sneakers, if it's lipstick, if it's whatever, you can do that in the drink. It can happen. Trust me, I've seen it happen. That's just do you. No, don't do you. Be you.
I told y'all, if you want to get coached and you want to drink and you're looking for a drinking coach who happens to be Dame of the Year, by the way, that's who you need to be tolerant at, is Tiffany Berrier. We are already getting questions running up the gamut right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give the first one a whirl. Okay. When did you first start experimenting in the kitchen?
When I was about 9 years old. I grew up in a drinking family, so my parents always hosted the weekend card party, dominoes, mama's cooking, come over to my house, come sit on the porch, hang out in the garage or the yard. And once the adults got too adulty, the kids, go run and get me this, go get this, go get that, go get that. And I was definitely head girl, because it was my house. I was the only child, and I would get yelled at. Go make us some drinks. And I had no clue. I just knew, I knew who needed what. I knew my uncle liked a lot of ice. I knew my aunt liked a squeeze of lemon. There were two big handles, a clear bottle and a brown bottle. There was beer in the cooler, and I just ran drinks. So we didn't do a lot of mixers. That wasn't really a thing growing up. If anything, it was a Coke or a Sprite or a lemonade. But yeah, I was young. I've been serving the people since a kid.
Gladwellian theory, folks. 10,000 hours. Put in the work. Put in the work.
Get these babies out here. As soon as they're off a virtual class, get them.
The tipping point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be the Beatles? You want to be the drinking coach? Put in the work, son.
Get it.
I miss you at One Flew South, is what someone said. What do you miss most about your time there?
I miss everyone there. I miss stepping out of my life and stepping into the traveler's life. I used to clock in and go, well, I could never touch my phone because you guys always visited and it's a constant flow. I would put my phone down for 8+ hours, tap out. Who cared about social media, what was going on in the news? I depended on everyone to come in and say, did you hear? Did you know? Tell me about their job. their bay, their kids, the weather, some country I'd never gone to. I miss the people. I miss being in your lives. I traveled the world in my mind through my guests. I miss them so much.
What do you suggest the best thing to substitute for bourbon for an after dinner drink if you aren't a fan of bourbon? Okay, trick question. You got it?
Tequila.
Mm-hmm.
Tequila. That's a personal preference. I love tequila. I love the fact that it's one of the nicest, cleanest, low-calorie spirits of them all. But if tequila isn't your forte or you're trying to work your way back into the palate, try rum, dark rum, not spiced rum, dark rum. Bourbon doesn't have to be your best friend. It's okay. It's okay. I'll drink the bourbon for you. But try an aged tequila, Reposado and Añejo. Try a dark rum, 8 to 10 years. Touch into that. That's definitely a good place. And if you don't like bourbon, it's okay. It's cool.
How can we help educate people about the true history behind so much of American culinary history, like Jack Daniels and Uncle Nearest, and that means Nearest Green, of course. So what do you think about that?
We just got to keep discovering these stories. These stories are coming out now. We're the ones being the pushers right now. We're digging into the archives, like I said earlier, asking some hard questions, but also touching into our libraries. I reach out, I dig. Yeah, there's Google, but like we were talking about the card catalog, I dig even deeper. I want to go into journals. I like to read a couple of, great books. Fawn discovered Nearest Green by reading Jack's book. So, Jack had been talking about this guy, Nearest Green, and she's like, who's this guy? So it's really about reading all the American stories you may have already been reading, and then seeing if they mention the help, Uncle so-and-so, for lack of those other words that they use for our ancestors. Just doing the research, and when you find those stories and you start digging, even if it's a few sentences, share it. You never know who's watching and listening, and they're like, hold on, I've seen that name before. And you never know. It's a pyramid of knowledge, but if we don't talk about it, then those people aren't discovered.
You are a spiritual mixologist during a very difficult time. What makes you hopeful?
If my ancestors got through it, I can get through it. We're easy peasy, grapefruit, lemon, lime squeezy right now. This is nothing. And I think about that anytime I get home. I'm like, no, I'm still like putting my key in my door. I'm still
right. You know what I mean?
Like I want to thank you for that person who asked that. I have to snap myself out of it in a heartbeat. We were at the polls a few months ago, remember? And everybody was complaining in Atlanta about the lines and oh my God. And true indeed, yes, we had time to complain. But you know what I did the whole time I was in line? I watched Queer Eye. I watched 4 episodes of Netflix in my ear. And my poll station had chairs and bottled water and snack wagons coming down the way. And I literally cried when I came home because I felt guilty that I actually I caught up on my stories, had some granola and a couple bottled water, sparkling water while I waited. I did. And I felt so privileged, and I don't use that word often. So I know there's hope because I wouldn't be here if they didn't. They died for this. They weren't allowed for this. And this is like not too long ago. This is like less than 50, 60 years ago. And so I have no complaints about moving forward because I've seen what they left behind for us to even get a chance to even think straight, to make a choice. You have to make a choice now if you're gonna vote. We're begging people to vote right now. Are you kidding me? Please go vote. You kidding me? So there's hope. there's definitely hope. The pavement has been laid. We got to make the move.
That's right. If you're in Georgia, by the way, y'all need to be looking up y'all stuff. Early voting, last day to register. They're both coming up. You got 1 week for one and 2 weeks for the next. So you're all good. I'm a big fan of that.
Get it. And charge your phone so you can watch Netflix.
Yo, like bring a book. There's a great book out. It's called Jubilee. You know what I mean?
Look at you.
You can order it, read it. You can take your little hot pot out there, start cooking up something. You take your planter's punch. You can pre-mix. I don't know. No.
Pack a mini cocktail. I had a flask. They don't say you can't drink nearby. You can have a little punch in your bag, water bottle.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. But I mean, like somebody else.
I would. Yeah, I'll do it.
Holler at me if you see me out there. I got a little something going on. Are there other regions in the U.S. that have a distinctive cocktail culture, or is the South special in this way?
Absolutely. The United States is divided. I think of it as when the U.S. was created, but there's port cities: San Francisco, Port City; New Orleans, Port City; Manhattan, New York, Port City. Anything near water, so the influence is definitely different. The West Coast is, I always say they're killing it. They're always killing it. They're killing it because I don't have a chance to get that much Western influence in the South. I don't get a lot of Asian influence. I don't get a lot of Mexican influence coming from South, the West Coast. And when it comes to New York, you've got a lot of Italian and Greek and German influence. We're not getting that in the South. We're getting more Caribbean, more French, more South American influence, and obviously our own Southern roots. So yeah, there's definitely a difference in what we get and gain and what's offered. You go travel and you see a bottle and you're like, why don't I get that in the South? Because we're not prone to it as much. But I work really hard with some people to make sure that we get the same, but we are who we are. That's why we go visit them to get that feeling, and they come down here and think that all we drink is bourbon, because we do.
Drink a lot of bourbon. We do drink it. I love this question. Best way to stock a home bar to have a ton of cocktail options. So I don't know what a ton of means, but I'm a big fan of what's the best way to stock a home bar, because that's something I paid attention to, coming around and seeing people like you, looking behind you and seeing what is it that because I'm sure that you have a hand, whether you were the manager or whatever your position was, you had a role in what's going on back there. So any bartender, I always give them the credit of saying, they can tell me why this and why that, and should I buy that at home? So what's the best way to stock your home bar? To have a ton of
Great question. I'm asked that question every single day. The best way to stock your home bar is to get mixers and not the liquor. We tend to want to buy, let me get the vodka, the tequila, the gin. Let me get those because that's going to make my drink. But we drink those pretty quickly, don't we? We're like, I can't keep my gin here. I can't keep my tequila. So I encourage you to buy vermouths, sweet, dry, blanc. I encourage you to buy bitters. I encourage you to keep citrus in the house: lemon, lime, orange, grapefruit. They don't lose their season space. They're always on sale. Buy bruised fruit. There's nothing wrong with bruised fruit. All fruit matters. All you're doing is juicing it anyway. Keep fruit in the house. Keep mixers, because you can make any drink with mixers. You can have just one bottle of liquor and make a Manhattan out of it, a sour out of it, a flip out of it. You can sip it neat because you have the right components to go 4 different ways, versus stocking up your bar with booze and you have no mixers and you're like, what do we do now? And club soda is also a great friend to keep in the house.
That's amazing advice. Again, I've become a vermouth snob. I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming.
It's
and
so
now
good.
the vermouth costs, like, when I look at the price, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, wait. But once you understand, there's a lot of beverage going on in this bottle. So that 38 turns into 300% of 38 pretty quickly if you understand. But if you don't understand, that's why we love to still go out and support great bartenders like yourself, mixologists, I should say, game of the year.
Oh my
That's right.
God.
That's right. Right. What is the next go-to that will be mixed into a martini?
Mm. Next go-to, meaning?
I'm guessing the question might be, if it's mixed into a martini, so almost to that mixer question, you know
The
what I mean?
next question, like what are we going to drink next after I've had a martini, maybe?
Or maybe what's the next martini almost? Like what's the next thing that you're getting? I mean, it sounds like what the person is asking is the next go-to that will be mixed into it. So it's almost like a mixer. So you know what I mean? Like maybe how Fernet became a thing.
Oh,
And
okay.
maybe, so what's the next thing? And if I'm getting your question wrong, question number 9, that's your fault. You shouldn't have been drinking so much when you were typing in
Come on, question number 9. I love to stretch my drink, so I love club soda on everything. If you have a martini, which if you like your martini just the way it is, gin or vodka, or if you like vermouth, that's fine, C or no. But let's put it on ice with some club soda and let's stretch that baby. Let's get into it. Let's even add some bitters to that. That's called a long drink when you add club soda to it. But yeah, I think that's a really cool way to go with my martini. I love martinis, by the way, whoever that is, number 9. I like mine dry with gin and a twist of lemon.
Outstanding. And quickly, what is your favorite cocktail with elderflower?
Whoa. Hello.
Saint Germain action, I guess. So
listen, Saint Germain, good friends of mine. I love them to my heart. I put it in a lot of things. It has a space in everything. Saint Germain and grapefruit. I love I'm redundant on this club soda, but I like a nice 1.5 ounce of Saint Germain with about 2 ounces of grapefruit juice, or 1 ounce, just to make it blush, as my mom would say, make it blush. And then a lot of ice and club soda, and I keep it real cute after that.
Nice. And question number 10. I've watched your social media channel turn into a fascinating course in the history of Black achievements and contributions, even beyond beverages. What inspired that? That's a great question to end on.
It was time. I have been doing that for a long time at One Flew South, working with Dwayne and Todd and Reggie. We were doing all things Black, just making it appeal to be, we were doing comfort food. Let me change. I'm not gonna call it comfort food. It wasn't soul food. It was the food that we grew up eating, and those boys plated it into a proper size that gained more respect than people expected it to. And the love, and I'm not downplaying chefs food, but it was the same thing that we've been growing up with, all of us, for years. It was just the plating and the proper ingredients. I was doing the same thing in my cocktails, and I wasn't giving myself the credit that I was really pulling this from the ancestors. Gotta have something sweet, gotta use cane syrup, must use, I was using ingredients that were so comfortable for me. So being in the space that I am now and being older and more mature and owning my space, I felt a need, definitely with the pandemic and everything just starting to come down. I thought this would be a great time to come up. And that's just my optimism as a person. And I thought it's time. It's time for me to step away from all these ingredients and quarter ounces and this, because you're not making it. You're not. I wish someone would tag me and say, look, I just made Tiffany's drink. So I stopped giving the recipe and started giving the story and started giving my motivation. I started sharing the stories again that have not been shared enough so that they can truly be documented. And social media is a free place to document. And once I started and I got some feedback, I can't stop. I can't go back.
Outstanding. I think that at this point, it's probably safe for us to lead people to where they can actually find these stories, social media wise. So tell us again, the Drinking Coach. I know that's where we can find them, but where all is the Drinking Coach online and on social media?
The Drinking Coach is the Drinking Coach on Instagram. I'm Drinking Coach on Twitter because there is a South American company called the Drinking Coach.
Right. So just Drinking Coach, no D on Twitter.
Drinking Coach on Twitter. And on Facebook, it's my full name, Tiffany Berrier, because we're the same person. And then there's my website, www.thedrinkingcoach.com. It's really more so a landing page if you need me to come into your homes virtually, that is.
Oh, you do.
And,
people, you do. You do. You do.
I'm coming to your house virtually, or companies or whatnot, and just chat with you. I'm very open and approachable. If you happen to follow any of my channels and you just want to ask me a question, you're lost in a liquor store, you're lost on Amazon, you're lost at a bar, let me help you out. Let me help you.
Yep. Don't forget, everybody, when you see Tiffany Barrier in person, first of all, it's Barrier like Perrier, so make sure you say that, Barrier. But ask her about her bracelet jewelry. You know, like it's amazing, exquisite thing going on there. Little Easter egg for everybody. Might get you a little something. Might get you a little extras going on.
You just told on me.
No, I didn't. I'm sharing stuff that I usually only get some property myself. Anyway, I'm giving up the game. But Tiffany, I want to say thank you because again, having the privilege of living in the same city and being around you and having your beverages and just knowing your personality, your spirit, your energy, your talent, your knowledge, all of those things. Again, I'm always blown away when somebody like you will sit and let me pick their brain for a long period of time, asking a bunch of questions that I'm sure you may have thought about or heard before, but I really appreciate you sharing those answers with me and everyone who's been watching here at the Decatur Book Festival. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're one of my favorite journalists, the only Michael Jordan I truly love. I mean, yeah, there's the other guy, but I love you and I thank you. My cheeks hurt right now because of you. And
you got to get under here.
They hurt.
I got the same thing the other day. I know how that is. All right, good. Because we're about to wrap up, I'm pretty sure. So in the meantime, Jubilee is the book. Toni Tipton-Martin, ladies and gentlemen. The beverage is Planter's Punch. It is right there. It is lovely. You need to read that. You need to make that. Do not call or text Tiffany about how much of a quarter ounce goes into it because she wants to tell you the story, but she will give you all of those information. And thank you all again for paying attention here. Want to give a big shout out to Whole Foods again, also the Taste of Atlanta, all of our great sponsors at the Decatur Book Festival. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Toni Tipton-Martin, for all you do to bring people together. Thank you, Decatur Book Festival. Thank you to the audience, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.